Jai Guruji Auntie, good morning.
Good morning. So we are now on chapter Sweet 16, the Divine Designer, who is Guruji. No, by this time, winter had set in Manchester, and I was wrapped up sufficiently in his love. First, it was Delhi for the first 7 months, part of which was Kuwait too, and then the unforgettable New York. Within New York was my most prized visit to New Jersey, where Guruji showered his love on me through the Sangat that resides there and holds satsangs every Saturday. I am sworn to secrecy, so I shall reluctantly refrain from mentioning their names. They are Mr. and Mrs. Remarkable, with their extended family of Mr. and Mrs. Incredible and their most blessed children. May Guruji keep them into his fold forevermore, and may I be blessed adequately to visit them every year. Now I was back in California after having made a non Sangat trip to Barcelona, Spain too. Winter is gloomy as ever in Manchester, with the Brits describing it at best. It's as miserable as my mother in law. Every man and his dog are grumbling about the weather in England. To add some sunshine, however, to my own days, I prayed to Guruji to engage my mind in writing this very book. I needed to immerse myself in it, as Guruji had sent enough indications through the Sangat for me to write this book. It was truly a colossal task, or so I thought, as I only had a few people so far, and what about the rest? As in, I only had a few people who wanted to share at that time their satsangs for it to be documented in this book. The obvious questions occupying my mind were whether or not people would be receptive to the idea of sharing, and how on earth would I approach them? My initial doubt and uncertainty were ironed out with a phone call from Mr. R.P. Sharma, my cheerleader, my mentor and wisest friend, who never stopped asking, "Is your book done yet?" He advised me to call up the names that sprang to mind, urging me to trust Guruji, as this entire exercise was his will. He also gave me suggestions on the format to be employed for the book and asked me to trust my instincts, to just get down to work and to leave the results to him. Before my doubts reached epidemic proportions, Guruji always speaks to me through others who have unerring faith, keeping me steady and sanely safe. Thank you again, Mr. Sharma, for enabling my doubts to ebb away rather swiftly, and for lending me the confidence to call my Sangat family up, randomly asking them to share a part of their lives with me. My Guru Parivar has many talented and accomplished friends. Jatin Kochar, a renowned fashion designer, is one such friend. He launched his label at the age of 19 in the year 1991, and since then has built a commendable portfolio for himself. His ability to amalgamate his soulful Indian heritage with the urban influences has been the hallmark of his creation, and he is truly a blessed soul. Living in the fast lane, in top gear, which demands all his time, energy, and focus, he represents the modern man. If he doesn't give it his all, then the gear will automatically shift, and on slowing down, he will be taken over. Such is the cutthroat world of competition. Guruji, too, like Jatin, tailors to the devotees' needs and brings a smile to their faces. However, unlike Jatin, Guruji breaks the unbreakable threads of our karma and weaves new ones into our life's tapestry. He stitches the cloth of our destiny with careful threads of patience and perseverance. He interweaves the threads of love, acceptance, courage, to lend shape to our cloth that we wear as a coat throughout this lifetime. He continuously cleanses this coat mercifully when it collects the dust of our not so good karmas. He does not spin yarns the way the world does. Indeed, he cuts the cloth according to our needs, tailors it with his eternal love, embroiders it with his blessings, and enables us to become the models of excellence. On surrendering ourselves to the divine stylist, he dresses us up in ways that were unimaginable then to our limited creative minds. He grants us the perfect fit to suit the very fibers of our being in the right sequence, in the right space and time. So therefore, patience again is the key word here, because he used to say, sabar rakho, shukr karo, or zikr karo. Zikr, no matter what we are going through, when we are going through a heavy storm in life, it is all the more important to pray, to sit quietly, undistracted, and to remember him. Simply chat with him. He knows. He sees our Shraddha, like he used to say. And then he tailors us to be the best version of ourselves, to become the models of excellence. So this is Satsang by Jatin Kochar. After having been around for almost 40 years, I yearned for some direction and answers. I grew up having faith only in myself and nothing else. Deep-rooted anger, frustration, and to top it all, an overdose of ego, making a heady and misleading cocktail of my life, left me feeling devastated at times. My soul yearned for an anchor, for a guru, but my false ego kept me away from finding the light that was always surrounding me without my knowledge. All I needed was to acknowledge it. Bitterness and negativity had really taken over my existence. Desperately, I began seeking a way out of this negativity. I dabbled in various life philosophies, met plenty of wise spiritual men, but my life situation did not alter. I made the blunder of blocking any new thoughts or energies from passing through. Along with all this, I was expected to be a certain kind of a person, and people refused to acknowledge my sincere efforts I made to be better. Misunderstood, misled, and many other miseries made me believe I was a bad person. This soon started taking a toll on my body and my health. I was diagnosed with a degenerated lumbar 5, leaving me bedridden for long periods of time. Lying alone on my bed, watching the world go by, random thoughts took me on a guided tour to hell. I would often break down, a sob to my heart's content. Luckily, I knew it was a situation created by me. Hence, I had to come up with a solution myself. I would thank Almighty all the time, but refused to ask Him for help and direction. To cheer myself up, I would go for my workouts every day. At least something positive I was doing. I told myself, but the workouts were still not getting me any worthwhile results. Life was sort of chugging along with new challenges springing on me every single day. Basically, I kept failing in the same topic every day. And with every failure, my exam kept on getting harder. With me not being in my right senses, my work obviously started getting affected. It's like a domino effect. When we are low, then we don't have that wisdom to bring ourselves up and to bring things together. So it feels like everything is collapsing in our lives. Just give me 1 second. My throat is gone again. I did not have the zeal to be cutthroat, shrewd, calculative, and nasty. Some of the attributes that most of us believe we need to be successful in this today's world. It's so true. We feel like Guruji used to always say, Bolya da rabodda. But generally people feel, no, it's important to be shrewd, it's supposed to be, supposed to be conniving and cunning, because that is the only way to survive in this world. But Guruji, when we have Guruji in our lives, we don't need to be all that. We need to be simple. We need to be honest and sincere. And he handholds us. And he makes every impossible situation, he turns it to a possibility. Every adversity into an opportunity. To top it all, I was constantly battered by my near and dear ones, plunging me deeper into darkness, making me a walking mass of negativity. Gunjan, truly my better half, my most sincere critic, confidant, and my grounding force, is gifted with an innate ability to sense energies. I truly believe that she has made this journey to earth to elevate my soul, taking me closer to the Almighty. Like Mother Nature, Gunjan has the ability to absorb all negativity and convert it into positivity. Her faith and conviction in anything she believes in surpasses my almost faithless existence. Over a year ago, she had a calling and went with her mom and aunt to Bare Mandir. She came back and shared an edited version of her experience that she deemed I would be interested in. She told me about the Shivling and the amazing energy there. I listened to all of it rather fleetingly, I must admit. Meanwhile, my lower back problem had touched another level of degeneration, causing me immense pain. All my trips to various doctors had been absolutely futile. I could no longer sit on the floor. It was the first week of January 2011 when Gunjan took me to Bare Mandir. My logical mind and the mountain of ego that I carried around with me stopped me from uniting with my Guruji. However, I could not deny that I suddenly felt good. In the coming days, Gunjan got to know of a naturopath who I consulted. It was a matter of days before I started feeling better. Along with it came a bonus, something that we all yearn for, a fit body with abs. But I was oblivious to how and who had made that happen back then. We were going to Bare Mandir every week now, and I can clearly recall that on one of my trips, my ego took over to convince me never to return. Once again, I was angry, frustrated, and lost. Like always, His grace showed me the path. For someone who had been bedridden for 2 months, I could sit on the floor, which was sheer ecstasy, and I began looking forward to visiting the Bare Mandir every week. I heard satsangs of various sangat on every trip of mine to the mandir. Undeniably, every satsang left me awestruck. That's why it's important to listen to satsangs regularly, because Guruji used to say, when we are feeling low and we need an answer, somewhere, somehow, he relays the answer to us through satsangs. So therefore, the importance of listening to satsangs as well as attending them. Surprisingly, like always, I never expected any miracles, as I never asked for anything. However, around April 2011, things were really beginning to worsen. And the next couple of months, everything in my life reached rock bottom. In August 2011, my entire design team, with whom I had worked for over 14 years, suddenly abandoned me. My design unit was officially closed, and I had no other means of paying my bills. To my utter surprise, I had a sudden surge of buyers who kept coming and buying clothes from my existing stock. I've spent more than half my life doing design work. It was like these people and projects kept happening to keep me busy and ensured that I was able to pay my bills. I just could not find the right set of people to hire. Despite all this turmoil, for the first time, I was absolutely calm and peaceful as I surrendered my plight finally to Guruji. He, as always, gave me the strength and the courage to go through this storm. Every time I needed someone to execute a certain order, help would come. There were fleeting moments when I would slip back into the dark abyss, but again was strong enough to bounce back to life. We do this, we all oscillate between darkness and light, negativity to positivity. It is human nature. We can't always be positive. We always do feel let down at times. We feel, despondent. We feel disappointed. But Guruji makes us again bounce back to where he wants us to be, which is to be optimistic, which is to be joyful, and which is to have that go-get spirit. I then had a clear realization that all the excess baggage in terms of all the wrong people seemed to be subtly eliminated from my life, being replaced by new ones. I was now only attracting the good. So this also Guruji used to say, I do. He used to say, कि जो आपके negative friends भी होते हैं, उनको भी छांटता हूं मैं. People who are not good for us and who are not enabling our growth and in fact are bringing us down. He subtly but surely takes them away from our life. It might hurt initially, but then we realize that he's clearing our space and it is for the best. In the beginning of the year, Gunjan was given a date for a satsang at our place, and we had no means of putting it together. Slowly and steadily, however, all the work needed was happening, like getting the house whitewashed, wallpapering, and rearranging the furniture. The year 2011 gave Jatin's life a new meaning. He's now completed his satsang. Now this is back to my narrative. The year 2011 gave Jatin's life a new meaning. It had been a roller coaster ride with all the possible twists and turns until then. He and his wife were 2 weeks away from 2012, and they had the most beautiful satsang at their place on the 16th of December, 2011. It was attended by over 300 sangat. Their entire apartment was so full that they had to accommodate the rest of the satsang at their parents' apartment just across from them. The energy and the intensity of the bhakti that I felt that day was something I have never experienced in my entire life. The sheer sense of belonging to infinite love, affection, compassion, and eternal brotherhood. The loneliness had been vacuumed from my existence. Jai Guruji. So I would like to read, it's only 2 pages again, of chapter 17, if that's okay.
Yeah, please, Auntie. Please go ahead.
So karma cleansed. So, people from this chapter, we realize that everyone has their darkest moments in life. But Guruji again draws us back into the light. But it takes time. It can take years as well, because he really cleanses the vessel of our lives from the bottom up. So therefore, it takes time because it's a vessel which we have made dirty over lifetimes. So therefore, but we must have this trust and absolute faith that he's there because this is a complete spiritual journey with Guruji. Karma cleansed. Give yourself to such a guru that you'll never have to seek again. So this is the satsang of, first is my narrative, but this is the wife speaking now, Gunjan, Jatin's wife. So I met Gunjan, Jatin's wife, and their son and daughter on many occasions at Bade Mandir at various satsangs. Their daughter caught my eye every time, and I felt she was truly blessed child as she would sit and listen to the Shabad with an ocean of patience, and then merrily eat the langar with utmost devotion. She is as cute as she is charming, as on seeing me she would stare at me for a while, but when I showed my willingness to speak to her, she would shy away and turn away. I asked Gunjan if she would like to share her satsang, as I observed the devotion in her eyes too. Guruji always advocated the importance of the entire family coming together to him. He said the highest seva is the husband and wife taking care of each other. And the greatest earning is the children they raise together to turn them into good human beings. So there's a Shabad also, I don't remember the exact lyrics, but in that also it says that the mothers and the fathers' real seva is to bring their children onto the path of divinity, because we can't always be there for them to protect them, but God will always be there for them to protect them. So therefore, it's important to connect them. What a peaceful world we would live in if all the children of the world began their first step with Guruji in their hearts. I, for one, feel elated at the sight of young children setting the tone of their lives by connecting to Guruji. Their lives will be far less complicated than ours, as their young, impressionable minds unquestioningly will enter adulthood knowing that Guruji walks beside them. Being a yoga practitioner for over 8 years and a yoga teacher, at every step on her path, Gunjan Kochar sought a guru. Her journey had been a blessing as she met and keeps on meeting amazing masters. Along with the many teachers, gurus, swamis, and she continues to learn from them. However, there was still a void that Gunjan waited to be filled. Satsang by Gunjan Kochar. Last year, my mother asked me if I would like to accompany her to Bade Mandir. I was not interested and told her that I have enough gurus in my life. However, it was his calling, and I finally visited the mandir, though reluctantly. The door was closed that day, but I sat outside the main hall and meditated before leaving. It took me a couple of weeks before I went back. After a couple of visits, I began frequenting the Bade Mandir every Monday as my mind was disturbed and my heart lacked peace. The energy of the temple would uplift me and heal me at a very deep level, a level which I did not understand then. It was only when I started going regularly every Mondays that my mother shared that it was her ardas, a humble submission to Guruji, that I accompany her every week to the mandir, which was quite a distance, honestly, from our residence. Every Monday, she would be at the mandir, and every Friday at her satsang. Gunjan's visits made everyone suspicious at her place, including her mother-in-law and father-in-law. With due respect to everyone at home, I did not feel the need to explain myself to anyone. I realized then that I was depressed and had been so for over a year and a half. I suffered also from palpitations, anxiety, and fear after I had lost my own father. I could not share this with anyone, but I knew that I was not myself for a very long time. Tears rolled down at every satsang, but gradually, as my heart opened up to Guruji, these tears were not about pain anymore. This is when I realized I had found what I was seeking all these years. He gave me unconditional love, which I had never experienced in my life before. I cried and sobbed like a child, longing to meet my Guru, until he made me realize that he lives with me and within me 24/7. Years ago, my husband and I were invited by a friend who insisted that we accompany him for dinner to another friend's party. Since it was not appropriate to go uninvited, we were reluctant at first. However, when the friend insisted we joined in, the host, needless to say, was taken aback. We were told rather sternly, since we had already gate crashed, we might as well have dinner. I somehow held my tears back during that public humiliation. But once we reached home, I broke down. This happened about 12 years ago. Recently, in 2010, I met the same lady again and realized that the pain still lingered in me. After Guruji took me in a sharan, I completely surrendered and something miraculously happened. She sent a request through one of her friends to find out if I could help her with yoga classes. Since I had stopped doing private classes, my friend was not sure. So when she asked me, I agreed. Now I know why I said yes, because Guruji had to complete this karmic cycle of mine with her. I went across to her for the first yoga session, carrying the fear of being spoken to in the manner in which she had spoken earlier. But when I saw her this time, there was only compassion in her eyes. Who showed this to me? Of course, it was Guruji. He converts. I saw her with his eyes and with his heart and went ahead. After I finished the session, I sat in my car and broke down inconsolably. I could not thank him enough as I was carrying a huge karma myself by not forgiving her. It was also my ego which was hurt years ago. Guruji gave me a vision and a new heart. Now I hold classes with Guruji's heart and mind. Regarding my work deal, which went off track about 3 years ago, Guruji's blessings have completed that karmic cycle too for me. I would window dress as a freelancer and had a project in hand for a store. Owing to a miscommunication between the owner and me, the entire project stopped halfway, and I abandoned it as the situation went out of hand. I began praying to Guruji and asked him if I could do the seva of bringing this client to the mandir. She would see me at various social events and ignore me, or would instead audibly pass comments. This was embarrassing, and I was uncomfortable around her. Finally, a few months ago at one of the social events, she approached me and said hi. I was somewhat unnerved and thought of stepping back. Unsure of what she would say in public, instead she reassured me that she wanted to move on from that page of anger. I couldn't believe it and shared with her my ardas to Guruji. Then she shared that she too had many friends in the Sangat but had never been to the temple. I felt like pinching myself. And with immense gratitude for Guruji, I stood there and smiled at him in my heart. Only Guruji can cleanse our karmas. And he does that. He levels out, he irons out our poor relationships also to make them beautiful and to make them shine. This life is his wish and his will. And I shall continue my journey now in bliss with him. I surrender my being to him. I do not wish to seek any more. I found what I was looking for forever. Jai Guruji. So, this morning I was listening very quickly because I know we're taking time. But this morning I was listening to a beautiful satsang shared by a Sangat on Bari Mandir platform. So, the journey with Guruji is much deeper than we can conceive. It is not just about bringing our shopping list to Guruji, as you used to say, and then saying, I've surrendered my shopping list to you. It is surrendering our entire being. And our, in, eventually he liberates us even from that shopping list. Because as we keep coming to Guruji, we realize we need nothing but his love, his protection, his guidance, and most importantly, to be the best version of ourselves and to serve mankind as well as we can while we're on this earth. Because that is the greatest savor. So Guruji used to always insist that we ask, when we do ask for something, it is to ask Sarvada Bala Karna Guruji. This is one prayer we must ask for. And then the more we expand our lives, the more our karma also gets cleansed. The more we engage in seva, the more we engage in deep seva, gupt seva, the more our karmic debts are paid off. So Jai Guruji, thank you very much for allowing me to share this reading. And tomorrow we will read chapter 18. Thank you, Jai Guruji.